guys, it's Otrera Cosplay here, and welcome to my tutorial on building Tauriel's knives from the Hobbit Desolation of Smaug. For this project, you will need a chopping board or mat, some foam, I used 10mm and 20mm thick, a template, box cutter, and also if you have one, a hobby knife set. Use the hobby knife to cut out the template and all the details in the blade. Next, on a piece of 10mm foam, stick your template using masking tape rings. Using a pen or pencil, trace said template onto the foam, making sure you do the holes on the blade as well. Use the box cutter to cut out the knife, making sure the blade is flattish so it actually cuts the material instead of ripping it. For a smoother finish, not that it matters, go over the one area multiple times. Pop it out. Time for sanding. You will need a mask, some safety glasses, and a Dremel with a Dremel head extension, which makes it a lot easier to sand. Because I had a foam mat, it was bumpy on one side, so I sanded it down first. Make sure you keep the sandy ends moving, otherwise it will eat away the foam. Time to do the sharpness of the blade. On the straight side of the blade, angle the sanding bit down into the middle of the foam piece so that it comes to a point. Flip and repeat. For the other side, the small side with the holes, do the same, but not as dramatically as the previous side, as it will need more thickness to keep the shape of the holes. As you can tell, one side is more pointed than the other. Use a box cutter or a hobby knife to cut out the holes in the blade. Using a soldering iron or wood burning tool, smooth the cuts in the blade by slowly rolling the tip. For the handle, you will need 20mm foam, as well as the handle of the template. Trace onto foam and cut out twice, making sure you flip the template so the bumpy side stays in the middle. For the glue, you will need an icy ball stick and some form of glue. I used liquid nails as it could be sanded easily. Each type of glue has different instructions, so make sure you follow those when applying. You can use the stick to spread it out evenly. I had to wait about a minute before adding the two pieces together. Again, check the instructions. Large square hand, but I don't, so I decided to sand it. Using a reference bit also made the ends thinner and rounder. You'll probably end up covered in dust, but that's fine, nothing water can't fix. Draw the details onto the handle and the blade. You can use a pen, knife, or wood burner to make them more noticeable. Time for the heat gun. The heat allows the designs to open up wider. When using the heat gun, you may want to put some wood under the handle so it doesn't flop around. Move the heat gun up and down the knife. If it doesn't open up the cuts as much as you would have liked, use a pen over the top. For all those little nicks and imperfections you have, you can fill them in using modelling paste. I used it for the seam on the handle to make it smoother. Use water to smooth it out. Time for painting. I used a white spray-on primer for the undercoat. Make sure you shake it for at least 2 minutes before use and always wear a mask. Move the spray up and down the blade so it doesn't pull. Do one side at a time, 2 coats per side, making sure that you flip it when it is dry. This is it so far. I also used a spray of silver on the blade. For the wood texture on the handle, I used a pen. I suggest you test it out on a scrap piece of foam beforehand. Apply to hilt. I also used a woodish brown for the hilt. To get the paint job even, I painted it all at once, which meant I had to use a piece of wire to hold it up. I bent the wire into a large S shape, with the larger hook hanging over a handrail on my decking and the smaller hooking through the top hole of my blade. I painted the brown on using a thick bristled brush so it looks coarse and wood-like. To protect the blade, use just tape or in case it pulls off the paint, some paper and secure it around the top of the blade. There we go, all dry. For even more wood texture, use black acrylic paint, applying it with a small brush and wiping it off using some paper towel. Brush, apply it to the details of the blade, wiping it off after. Finished! Here is what it looks like. As you can tell, they fit nicely in my hands, which is essential for killing orcs. Thank you for watching and happy crafting!